SL Tonight presents Western Trail Campfire Tales. Pull up a seat by the fire. Tonight, we got tales from the old range. The kind they used to tell when the coffee was strong and the night was long. First up,
grave and cry.
Saddle Just.
I'm not there.
Melody Ames put his
I
horse
didn't
Prairie
die.
up the trail at a faster clip. Bending forward, he pointed at the rocks underfoot. Our bandit friend came this way, all right. There's another drop of blood, Pedro. Trotting behind on his beloved and much ornamented mule, Rosita, Pedro's chubby face showed distress. Senor Melody, why did we not go hastily along some other trail? The bandit attempted to rob only another bandit and was driven off, wounded. When thieves fall out, it's a good time to go elsewhere, mi amigo. Melody's bronze face crinkled into a grin. I'm not tagging the bandit, Pedro. It just happens we're headed over the same trail. I was only practicing my sign reading. I guess we won't butt in. But the last word was still hanging in the hot summer air when a gun spoke thunderously from the rocks above the trail, and then a bullet sang its death song between the two men. In passing, it touched the silky tip of Rosita's generous ear. The mule squealed in outraged fright, bucked Pedro neatly onto the nearest sharp rock, and went galloping wildly straight up the hillside towards the ambush. A hand shot out, snatched the bridle, and Rosita was dragged from sight. It had happened so quickly that Melody had barely snatched out his own gun and looked around for cover. Pedro bounced erect, roaring his indignation. Rosita, my pet, fear not, I will save you. He started scrambling over the rock straight for the hidden bushwhack. Melody yelled in hopeless alarm and then abandoned flight, leaned up the rocky slope in pursuit of his friend. Strangely, there were no more shots. The two men burst around the rocky hump and skidded to a halt, gaping. A girl of perhaps 20, slim and beautiful, stood holding on to Rosita's bridle, waving an immense six-gun and sobbing wildly. Stop right there, you beasts! She cried. I tried to shoot you when you ran up, but I was too tender-hearted. But you never find Bob. I promise you, you murdering coyotes. Hey, Melody said. Cut it out, honey. We're not looking for any Bob or planning on murdering anybody. We're just a couple peaceful pilgrims taking the trail to sundown. Or we were until you opened up on us with that cannon. As he talked, Melody was edging forward. Suddenly he moved and the girl's gun was swept from her hand. She stared at him with bitter loathing. I hate you, And then her voice faltered and the fury went out of her face as she looked from Melody's pleasant smile to Pedro's cherubic twinkle. Maybe I was wrong. You don't look like Wolf Barson's gun hands. I'm glad I didn't shoot you. So are we, Melody chuckled. I'm Melody Ames and this is Pedro. I take it your brother Bob is the mysterious bandit who tried to hold up Wolf Barson this morning and got away with a bullet in him. You badly hurt? He smiled at her blank amazement. I'd heard about the holdup in town, saw Wolf Barson, and afterwards spotted drops of blood along the trail. The rest, I guess, from your actions. The girl's lovely shoulders sagged. You're right. I'm Lorna Dayton, but Bob is no bandit. Wolf shot Bob in cold blood when Bob went to demand water rights for our cattle. The spring was Dad's, but after Dad died, Wolf seized it. He says he'll let our cattle die of thirst unless we sell out to him for practically nothing. Put soft hands on Melody's chest. Wolf lied when he said Bob tried to hold him up. Bob is fine and decent and honest. And hurt, Melody finished gently. Let's go see if we can give first aid and then talk about what to do afterward. An hour later, Melody straightened from the bedside of the pale young boy who so resembled his sister. The wound was dressed and Bob Dayton lay in a restful sleep. Lorna looked at Melody with tender gratitude. You saved his life, but what will we do now? Wolf Barson will come for Bob. He'll kill him and pretend he shot Bob when he tried to resist capture. Pedro spread chubby hands and his teeth gleamed in the light from that oil lamp on the table. Senorita, if you knew Senor Melody as I know him, and as so many others know him across the West, you would cease to worry. Melody Ames and injustice cannot exist in the same country. Melody grinned embarrassedly. You talk too much, amigo. Keep an eye on Bob here while I go scout out around a bit. As I saw it when we came in, there's only one entrance to this little valley. If Wolf Barson comes, he'll have to climb the slope the same way we did. For the next half hour, Melody prowled along the upper slope below the pass, doing something mysterious with the trail and the slopes that framed it. At last, he straightened with a grunt of satisfaction and turned back towards the lighted window of the little shack. A slim figure, pale in the light of the rising moon, suddenly blocked his path. Melody, Lorna Drayton said softly, I came to talk to you. He looked down at her gravely, seeing the soft curves rounding the silhouette of her figure, seeing the glow in her violet eyes, the softness of her smile in the moonlight. Something caught at his throat, and the pound of his heart was loud in his ears. Lorna, he said, you're lovely. Then she was in his arms, straining against his sturdy figure, soft hands bending his head down toward uplifted lips. For a moment his own arms tightened hungrily, and his lips caught fire from hers. Then he straightened gently. No, dear, it's no good. I'm a wanderer, a seeker after far trails, and I always will be. I've tried to settle down, but it's no use. Sunrise calls, and I'm off to see what's behind it. He started a murmur of protest that was broken off sharply. From behind them came the sharp rattle of dislodged stone, the grunt of a man's curse as he stumbled. Another voice hissed a sharp warning. Melody's lips brushed Lorna's ear. Go inside quickly and quietly. Tell Pedro to stay by Bob and you. I'll handle things out here. A moment later, crouching in the shadows by the trail, Melody thumbed back the hammer of his gun and watched three dark shadows moving up towards the lip of the high path. Wolf Barson and his gun hands were coming to finish the unfinished job. Kill Bob Dayton in order to seize his land and stop. It was the old story, and to Melody, its ending too might be familiar. He waited, relaxed. It's far enough, Wolf, called out suddenly, his voice ringing through the night air. The game is full. Go on back and drop the whole idea, killing Bob Dayton. His answer was a startled curse, and then a lightning flash of gunflame. Thunder split this night stillness, and a death hum sang around Melody's ears. He counted the flashes of 3 guns, which told him that he had counted shadows correctly. His own gun flamed once, and down the slope a harsh voice yelled in pain. The return fire now came from only 2 guns. I know you, came the harsh voice of Wolf Barson. You're that nosy saddle tramp who was in town this morning with the mechs on the mule. I heard how you mess into things that aren't your affair, Ames. Well, this will be your last interference. Maybe you keep us out for now, but we can keep you in. We'll starve you out if we have to. Under cover of the bellow, Melody eased 1 foot forward, putting it against the dark bulk of an upended rock, and shut. The big boulder teetered, rolled, and went crashing down the slope. Its bumping progress suddenly became a swelling roar as the other rocks, Melody had poised there a short time before, were swept downward by impact. In a moment, dozens of boulders were bounding and clattering down on the attackers below. Then there was a heavier thunder that seemed to shake the very ground underfoot. Melody sprang up, startled. Heard the voices of Wolf Barson and his gunmen start a wild, screaming yell of pain and fright. Then the roar died, and slowly the echoes faded into silence. A door slammed. Pedro and Lorna came running from the cabin, pale in the moonlight. What happened, amigo? Pedro panted. I knew you'd set rocks to roll down on Barson. This had the sound of a landslide. It was, Melody said soberly. That loose shale below must have all broken loose. I think, Lorna, you can get the sheriff to come and pick up Wolf Barson and his killers. They won't be going anywhere in a hurry. In the pale light of dawn, Pedro and Melody rode down the path toward their interrupted destination. Melody looked back just once towards a slim, lovely figure poised on the rocks above. He saw a handkerchief flutter once, and then go tight against the pale oval of that distant face. His face was sober. Pedro, watching his friend, shook his head sadly. Here we go, amigo. It is always another goodbye. That is our way. They rode on, and presently the sweet voice of Melody Ames drifted back to the watcher on the rock, singing a lonely song of the West, a lament for lost trails and buried hopes. Ahead, the sun burst up in all its glory, and a new day dawned. The end. And now we move on to the story of a different sort.
Aboard the ship Independence, a man brought an oblong box, heavy as grief, sealed tight with iron. No one asked, no one talked. He paid double for the cabin next to mine. Said it was full of plaster and of art, but every night I heard him weeping, and the box sat cold and dark. Oblong box on the rolling sea, what secret do you keep from me? Salt and sorrow, wooden dread, something living or something dead. Storm rose up off the Carolina coast. Waves like black hands reached for the deck. He wouldn't leave that box behind, tied himself to it when the ship went wrecked. I saw him go under with his burden, still holding on as the water closed. They found the box washed up next morning, nailed shut, and no one knows. Oblong box on the rolling sea, what secret do you keep from me? Salt and sorrow, wood and dread, something living or something dead. They pried the lid at last, and the truth came crawling out. Not plaster, not marble, just a woman, pale and proud, his wife, who died 3 days before. He couldn't bear to leave her on the shore. Both of them dead. The sea keeps what it takes. The sea keeps what it takes.
And finally, Diamonds of Destiny. In the shimmering brilliance of all historical jewels lies a storied tale of romance and adventure. Changed for the fates of nations and men that sought to own them. War, plunder, and murder beat a path to their present. One of these famous gems was the Regent Diamond, a glistening mountain of color, sparkle, and beauty. It was such a jewel, 426 carats of splendor, that set Sir Thomas Pitt, British governor of Fort St. George and Madras, on the greatest adventure of his life. Fiction and fact are so closely associated in the background of gems that it's difficult to prove or disprove either, but the Regent Diamond is said to have been found in the year 1701 at the Parcel Mines on the Kistooa River. An Indian slave found the stone that to him meant the joyful promise of freedom. Cutting a gash in his leg, he secreted it and made his way to the sea coast. There he offered it to the skipper of an English ship. The exchange he asked for was safe passage to free land and a small share of the proceeds. However, the temptation of the diamond overcame the skipper, and during the passage to Bombay, the slave met with sudden disaster. Then the stone again changed hands, for it was bought for the sum of $5,000 by an Indian merchant. It is also rumored that later the English sea captain destroyed himself in a fit of drunken remorse. The sly diamond merchant named Jaharsan offered the jewel to Pitt, asking 200 pagodas, or $360,000 for it, which Pitt was unable to pay. Yet awed by the size of the stone, his fingers itched to own it. He sent for the merchant time and time again until the price was brought down to $84,000. Thus Pitt became possessor of what he believed to be the largest diamond in the world. Even though the investment represented Pitt's entire fortune, war in Europe made it impossible for any covetous monarch to produce money enough to repurchase the jewel from him. Being unable to leave India himself, he sent his son Robert to his agent in London with the gem. As Robert made the tedious journey, his father worried constantly. The thieves or murderers could easily remove both his son and fortune. There was also the slow arrival of mail to cause him grief for many a month. However, Robert did arrive safely in London, and all England hummed with the news of the fabulous jewel. Pitt hoped to sell it for over $500,000, but tales of slander sprang up as to how he came to possess such a wondrous stone. These tales that breezed through the court circles almost ruined Pitt's reputation, but the unhappy governor was mainly worried over his investment. Finally, the Duke of Orleans, regent of France during the minority of Louis XV, agreed to purchase the stone for £135,000, approximately $637,000. This brought Sir Thomas Pitt home to England, where he personally made the trip to collect. Heavily disguised, he dared not sleep 2 nights in the same bed, so great was his fear of being attacked for his possession. Despite the promise of the Duke, Pitt received, in cash, only £40,000 and was given 3 boxes of crown jewels as a guarantee for the remainder, but this balance was never paid. Naturally. The exacting process of cutting and polishing took 2 tireless years, and cleavage and dust brought a fortune. Finished, the gem was 1.25 inches in diameter and weighed 128 carats. Only on special occasions of state did the proud Duke wear the now famous diamond, and then only as a button in his hat. When Louis XV mounted the throne, the gem graced the coronation crown, and its lengthy career in court life began. The beautiful Marie Antoinette flaunted it at a ball. Tucked in a brooch, it held a cluster of white ostrich plumes to her large black hat, the envy of every woman present. Again, during Napoleon's wars, the diamond came to the front. Over and over again, he pawned it to German bankers in exchange for horse furniture, aka cavalry equipment. From there, it was to an Amsterdam banker, Vandenberg, until Napoleon released it again for what seems to be appeasement of his famous bandits. In 1804, the little corporal had it set between the teeth of a crocodile and the hilt of his state sword, which he wore when he crowned himself Emperor of France at Notre Dame Cathedral. After Napoleon's time, the region appeared again and again in political fortune. It survived the Second Empire and the Prussian War, and when the French crown jewels were auctioned in 1886, it was reserved because of its historical value. Before World War II, France placed the famous jewel in the central case of the most important gallery of the Louvre Museum in Paris. There it rested in its magnificent glory, safe from theft, in a glass case controlled by a secret device that automatically lowered it into a vault on the closing of the museum. Which I should probably check into that, because it's probably still there today, I bet. Its whereabouts during those troubled times remain unknown, to prevent it from slipping into the blood-stained hands of the greatest thieves the world has ever known, the Nazis. Yet it shall once again be brought forth in its homeland to sparkle and enchant and keep fresh the fascinating tale of its past and the unforetold mystery of its future. And if you want me to keep you informed as to what happened to this diamond, if it's still there in the Louvre, let me know. And that's the last Ember for tonight. 2 more stories from Western Trail. Fire's dying down, but the trail goes on. Until next time, this has been Western Trail Campfire Tale. And that's all tonight. Ride safe. Good night.